to this week's weekly reading. Okay, this week is the 40th week of the calendar year, and I really feel there's a lot of stormy energy going on, and there's going to be lots of stormy energy going out. And this is going to be in some way, a lot of tension is going to be happening, and we're all feeling it for various reasons, but we're going to be moving into a cycle of where there could be lots of bumps in the road. But for this week, this is what the cards have to say. So I opened the Rider-Waite. I'm using the Rider-Waite deck this week, and I already have some cards on the table. Okay, we're starting off with a week with some drama, very juvenile drama happening. Now, this could be to do with the energy, I feel, of a lot of unhealed past issues, things that haven't been spoken. When you're young, actually, you don't have the ability to articulate perhaps what you really need or what your needs are, or you're carrying things from the past related to what your needs need to be and what you're not actually speaking up for. I noticed looking at this card earlier on while I was sort of just about to record that, looking at the card very closely, if you can actually look at his hands there, he's holding the sword, but he's not actually really holding the sword either. If you look at the size of the sword and probably the weight of it, there's a very little grip. It's as if he's just holding it. So I feel like this is a classic situation where somebody actually doesn't know how to hold its strength and actually is yielding the sword in all kind of manners, and then therefore trying to attack you in a very juvenile and unprecedented way. So if you're experiencing any of this, this is about sort of projections, very childish behavior, and this is something that we all need to look at, be it at the giving end, sort of throwing it out, or at the receiving end, okay, because there's a duality here, or often a mirror that's going on. I think it's what it's ensued has caused a lot of chaos. There's a lot of, sort of clouds floating around, which are also quite high up. So I feel that in some way there's a lot of energy that's sort of been built up and pushed out. And it will take some little while for these clouds to disperse, okay? I feel also comes from a very noisy mind, despite the impression that the Page of Swords yields of standing groundedly. He's only in fact got 1 foot on the ground and 1 off. So there's a sense of instability there as well, okay? So it's very important at the moment that you kind of get rooted and really check in with yourself. So this is how the week has started off for most people. This is the energy of maybe what we're going into the week. Again, everyone is slightly different, but this is to do with Mars being retrograde in Aries, which is going to be bumping against some of the planets which are also stationary right now, like the Pluto and Saturn, which are the big guns, which is to do with transformation and to do with also your structure or yourself or your being, okay, the things that we need to really look at, things that we need to maybe sort of shift from a very stagnated place. But Mars is very active at the moment, and it's causing havoc in this series and several weeks ahead of its retrograde motion. So I would say that really yield your sword down if you can. Do not fight back would be my advice, which actually brings it to the second card. This is exactly that. This is the card of retreat. This is a card of taking stock, and this is a card of going inward, okay? There could have been a lot of unnecessary hurt, a lot of unnecessary words and thinking that's going on at the moment. And this card particularly is very much about taking time out and retreating. And if you see beneath the young page there, which could be very similar to in the outfit there as well. Okay, although it's in black and yellow here. It's got like a skirt on as well. And anyhow, the sword is put down. So I would definitely suggest that you lay your sword down. So if somebody comes at you with their stuff, with a projection, make sure that you don't continue adding to the fuel to the fire. Take yourself back. Notice what is going on for you, and actually whatever feelings that could be coming up for you as well, this is a time to actually take just take time out and back off. Okay, you might want to pray for guidance. Okay, we are being guided all the time. You can actually pray for some healing, the retreat, but I would not actually move forward at this time and just take time out, and gain your power, if you like. When I say power, I'm not talking about power to go charging forward and yielding your sword, but actually being empowered in the sense that you need to be empowered. This is whatever's happening on the outside is often a mirror for us maybe to look at what could be going, not only on the inside, because that's not always true, okay? Whatever something's going on the outside doesn't mean to say always it's a reflection of you. But if you're feeling hurt by it, or if you can witness possibly what created that sort of spark or that anger. Okay, you're not responsible for somebody else's anger, but somebody else's anger could be projected at you. All right, but what you need to notice is for yourself, what happened, maybe where were you not congruent in yourself that could have created a situation that you sort of were part of. Okay, and if you're feeling hurt, maybe where does that hurt and where does that remind you? I say that because, of course, we have this page, which is a very young energy, very juvenile energy. And I also have another card, which I'll come to a bit later on, but this is very much about child, things from the past. And I feel in this reading particularly is to do with the inner child, but I shall come back to that shortly. Okay, so this is very much about taking time out and really taking stock and just almost retreating and doing what actually you can do to nourish yourself and nurture yourself, okay, and take a step back. This is mutually supported. Again, the following card is the card of Lovers. Now, in this spread's reading, for me, it does not actually signify meeting somebody or having a loving relationship, but if anything, it ties in with this, which is about having a loving relationship with yourself, really kind of uniting your male and female aspects, seeing where the wounding has happened, where maybe you need to be vulnerable, where you need to show up for yourself in the truth of your being and not being afraid to actually look at perhaps the areas of yourself where you have sort of neglected or where it needs to be sort of worked with. Okay, I feel like these things arise because it's an opportunity for us to actually start looking at ourselves in order to create a much more inner abundant life. Now, we are being absolutely guided, so no matter what chaos has ensued, no matter, you see there's also a reflection of the clouds there, so no matter what sort of situation has arisen, which is a lot of that, okay, if you see in the background there, you are being guided and it's meant to be. Sometimes it's really hard to take that on when something is just comes out of nowhere and you are feeling totally victimized, or can be feeling victimized, not totally victimized, but you can also be feeling victimized, that somebody had done something to you, okay? Whether it is the case or not, the truth of the matter is it's happened for a reason, and we've got to be able to see the bigger picture and sort of elevate ourselves higher, because in doing that, we will see there is a raison d'etre, there's something for us to see. Okay, if you look at, there's a sun there as well. So I feel like this is also allowing us to sort of shed a light into maybe what we need to see about ourselves and also the situation, and make a balanced, excuse me, a balanced decision as to what and where you want to go with the situation at hand. It could be a friendship, it could be a relationship, it could be a work dynamic. Maybe, you know, your Aries is going to be certainly in a different part of the house according to your natal chart. If it's to do in your friendship zone, for example, you can bet bottom your bottom dollar that you're going to have some major ding-dongs with friends and people close to you in your family. If it's to do maybe with the fourth house to do with your parents or parenting, it could be you being the parent and actually really losing your mind, or it could be you could have issues with the parents. Okay, so again, depending where it falls in your chart. All right, it could be a work situation, but I really recommend that you take time out and start looking. Okay, you are being supported, and I think this is an opportunity for you to also, it's almost like radical self-acceptance. Just accept everything that happens, accept the rawness of your embarrassment maybe, or feeling bad, or your wounding. There's nothing wrong with you. This is only an opportunity for you to see perhaps maybe where things could have been managed differently or done differently, okay? Which then really brings me nicely into this next card, because this is exactly what this guy is doing. He's looking at all the coins here, okay? And I feel in this spread, because it's to do with the energy of sort of relating, we're still in the Libra season, all right, which is also about relationships and relating. I feel like this particular individual, and there's no sex here, although it's a very male, I mean, a man is in this card. This is about no sex, you know, orientation of who it is, but this is a figure actually looking possibly, I won't say so much as options. This is sometimes to do with your career options. Maybe it could be for some, where you can be looking at, okay, well, I've got this there and I've got that there and I've got this there and that there. I personally think about this is about ruminating and actually looking at perhaps how you've contributed to the situation, or actually noticing what's actually landing on your feet. So what is this here that is actually brought to your attention to, okay? This is a time I feel very much about mulling over things, taking some time out, going out into nature, and also doing some inner excavation as well. If you notice that he's got a rake here, and then maybe this is a time to start sifting out, okay, what is yours and what is not yours, and where has this come from, okay? Because regardless to what happens from the outside, be it an attack from the outside, be it from your sibling or a friend or even a boss, okay, they might have what would seem a reason to be upset with you, but often it actually is their stuff that's what's happening. But you've got to look at maybe, okay, what part have I played in this? It's very important at the moment that we pay attention to allowing the shift to happen. And in order to do that, we've actually got to look quite closely at what we have cultivated and to see if it serves or not. Okay, so this is almost like you say, if you're going grape picking or fruit picking as well, there are all these fruits on the trees, okay, and then you know, there's some actually worth putting in the basket to keep, and others have gone maybe a bit of rot. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at the rot ones maybe, and looking at what needs to stay and what needs to be thrown out. This is very much this time. This is because we really do have to make now completions. We are in a cycle of a karmic completion. We are worldly and collectively actually moving through massive shifts. All right. And there are certain endings, and certain things cannot go on as they have done, whether this is a collective situation, and we're seeing this out in the world, or a personal relation, relating as well. So a lot of relationships will be up for scrutiny, and a lot of ways of your personal being is up for scrutiny, and this is an opportunity to really see what needs to be closed off, okay, and circled off and completed. All right, it's almost in preparation for the world that you're going to be moving into. We are shifting the collective mindset, the sort of emotional set, and the spiritual growth is growing exponentially. So this is all about what we've learned, the wisdom that we've gained, having the courage to go forward, and actually also to be totally integral to your power and how you need to act. Okay, but this does not mean you act like a bull in a china shop as well and start yielding your bulliness out into the world. You've got to be very careful and sort of almost dance very delicately, if you like. Okay, but this is also showing your true colors. This is not about actually, you know, hiding now and keeping your mouth shut, but at the same time, how can I communicate? How can I be true to myself? You may communicate by non-action, but you're also being true to yourself. But this is not about passive aggressive behavior or actually just withdrawing. This may be actually withdrawing so you can actually really take stock, but this is actually so you can actually have a closure in the cycle, and there's something definitely calling us to look in the direction that we need to. For some reason, I feel that this is also very much speaking to me about looking in the direction of your childhood. Okay, now her head to me is facing towards the back. Okay, she's actually, you know, she's kind of got her head twisted, so looking at the back that way. And it's almost pointing to that figure. Okay, so this is about looking at yourself, you know, seeing how you can change and what is it that you really need to release. Okay, this could be done. Speaking of release, here's the next card, Six of Swords. You know, yeah, Six of Swords is actually moving on. So it is a form of release. It's actually moving on. Okay, and what's interesting about this card as well is there's a guide. You are being guided. Okay, this is Archangel Gabriel, often noticed. So you are being also super guided by the bigger forces of the bigger archangels and the angels. Okay, whatever your belief systems, just trust that we're never alone and we're always guided, whether you believe it or not. Okay, but for those who believe in the power of something more than them, something, the invisible power, their forces are out there also guiding us. This is a time of major transformation. But coming back to this for the week, and this is the essence of, this is a week's reading, but this is going to be going on for a while, depending on where you're at in yourself, where the world is at the self, and also just where we're wanting to be moving towards and how much you have to move forward. Okay, these are all the swords that perhaps needs to be looked at. All right, so it's very important that you don't actually mentally over engage, but perhaps notice that where you know, where is my sort of wounding. All right, you might not be able to see yourself forward right now, and you might be in the cloud of kind of like in a cloud of being unable to see how you can move forward. But for those who are able to do the work and are able to move through your emotions, this is definitely telling me that you're going to be moving through clearer pastures, making changes, and you are being guided. Okay, if you notice at the right side of the figure of the woman, there we can't actually see her, but there's a child also next to her. So this is also taking your inner child with you and not abandoning it. Okay, all the stuff that's going to be coming up often is all to do with whether it's soul lessons or past life. It's your inner child, but this is how we actually showed up in this life. We've been indoctrinated and raised in a way to believe certain things about ourselves, that we're not enough, that that we've got abandonment issues, or that we've not been heard, or that maybe you got blamed or scapegoated for something. All these things are possibly apparent, but it's up to you now to really look at them one by one and stop yielding the sword outwardly, all right, but actually start looking at maybe where your attack is coming from and why something has triggered you and what needs to be looked at. Because I really believe a collective shift can only happen when we make individual shift, when we make personal shifts. Okay, it's like a pebble effect. When you start changing and transforming yourself, you're able to have a massive form of presence, and you can make a difference, yes, in the world, but it is through your actions. Okay, sometimes I meet people who are great activists and have got such a powerful, forceful voice and all that, but yet they're full of shit and full of issues that they've never dealt with, and they're just playing out their aggravation, their anger, and their kind of bully tactics. Okay, that does not serve, and this is how the war happens. So it's time to start looking at yourself and see what part you are playing in the dramas of your life, and stop projecting it out to people and causing dismay or mayhem. Okay, this happens in personal lives, in family lives, it happens in friendships. Okay, and it's not acceptable in the sense that we can have compassion for each other, but it is really important now to start taking stock and looking at one's own personal stuff. Okay, but this is calling out for us to start looking at that and start feeling filling our emotional cup, if you like. Okay, there are 2 6s here. Okay, we've got more than 2 6s. We've got 3 6s. Okay, we've got the Lovers card, which is a card with 6. Okay, the 3 6s. We've got the so yeah, maybe breaking off the evil, if there is such a thing as a 666. Okay, but this is also about really letting it go. We've got the 6 of Swords here. Okay, this is about moving forward, moving on, leaving the past behind, leaving the old behind. Okay, last week's card reading, actually the message there was loosen ties and old stories, and I feel like this energy is so strong at the moment, which is also started from several weeks ahead, before that, it is calling us at the moment to start maybe breaking off some people who actually no longer really fit into the scheme of things. If they're the type of people that make you feel inferior or act in a way that is somehow that they're not going to change. Okay, because we can't ever change somebody outside of ourselves. We can only change ourselves. So be it your partner or anybody or boss or any relating that you have to do with people, if they're not willing to do the work or unable to make changes, and that they've operated like that all their lives, you can either put up with it and just recognize, which is a form of radical acceptance, or you can actually move on. So it's time to actually sort of maybe call in people who are much more having an affinity towards you. This is very much a card of affinity. This also means that somebody from the past could be coming back. But I feel like maybe it's actually also meeting like-minded groups of people or individuals, allowing the new to come in. And this is also kind of like a past life card as well, which means it could be from a karmic past or somebody very familiar, or you meet somebody who's also very familiar to you that could be new in your life, who can actually see you and embrace you. These cups also are the kind of emotional gifts that they're offering and maybe able to meet you as well. Somehow I also feel like because I kind of feel like with the having to let go, this could be also some emotional debris that you could be letting go of from your past. Okay, so recognizing maybe where the cup had been polluted, maybe how can you let it grow freshly. Okay, we can use the stories of the past, what I call the kind of the shit, as fertilizers, so we can actually transform and transmute it and actually grow from it. Okay, so if you recognize, for example, that there was a situation where you abandoned yourself in the moment, that you were completely caught yourself off guard, or you kind of put yourself out for somebody, a friend, and it really wasn't the right thing for you to do, but you perhaps without even thinking, unconsciously, you actually did what you've always done, which is, to be there for somebody over your needs or your boundaries. sometimes what would happen, a situation will arise for it to actually backfire, for you to get the lesson that actually what it's really about, or you're upset about a situation that hasn't worked out for you, is the fact that you'd actually abandoned yourself somewhere. So these are opportunities to see whether they can further our growth. So if you are actually in a situation where that there have been some problems, which there will be, by the way, so I wouldn't even say if, I would say when, all right, when these situations arise, just notice that you are in a prime position now to be able to really transform them and allow something new to come through. And in you transforming and becoming the change within yourself, you are going to draw people who are actually on that level and actually have the same regard or respect or value that you actually want and have for yourself. Okay, this is definitely a transformational week, because on crowning the whole spread, I have is the Death card. Okay, and this is also a major arcana card. Yeah, 13 and 4. I was just looking at the numerology there. Okay, and we've also got a 4 there as well, and that's 7. Okay, so, you know, this is definitely about grounding things. You know, the 4 is also the card of the Emperor, getting stability in our lives. So this is very much about creating stability in our lives and moving forward so we can create the stability we want through all aspects of our life. It's no longer just enough to get the kind of the income that gives us stability, but it's our home life, our circle of friends life, the kind of lifestyle you want. All these things are calling out for attention. All right, do not be afraid of anything that needs to move through and change and be released, because this is exactly the passages that we're going through, and we are going to see this in a much bigger scale. But as I'm interested in the individual development and soul evolution, okay, but like I said, it just mirrors the macrocosm or microcosm of the universe. Okay, so whatever's happening here is happening out there. Okay, and we're only going to start seeing changes hugely when we all start making and taking responsibility for our lives. All right, I'm just going to sort of bring it back to the message I received prior to doing this reading, when I asked for what message can I inform the viewers and the listeners. And I've got here, hold on to yourself, get help from those you trust, which could be also this, maybe seek some counsel from somebody who's a bit wiser than you, or within, who knows you very well and is able to give you the nourishment and the nurturing you need. Because there's sometimes when we're actually in the receiving end of somebody's attack or diatribe or any kind of aggression, all right, you know, we all know that it just feels awful, and it can really kind of put you out. It can make you feel quite emotional, it can make you feel quite wounded or whatever. But do go and get some support from anybody you trust. And obviously you can also, anybody who needs, going through some kind of transitional changes right now, you're more than welcome to book yourself through my website, www.rafahseba.com. I offer all kinds of services, as well as sort of nourishing your soul through different programs from You Matter, or even just through the cards. I can help you untangle possible situations that's coming up for you. Okay, so the next message, that it was quite a long message today, receive your good. Okay, so we can only receive our good when we actually start releasing what no longer fits anymore. Okay, this is kind of like the giveaway. We have to let go of things. We have to let go of people. We have to let go of old stories. We have to let go of our narratives. We have to let go of so many things in order to clear the space up for something new to come through. So this is very much one of the messages. And to finish this message, it says, so receive your good, and for this moves you to the future self. Okay, and I got advancement. So I just thought that was quite interesting, the future self. And I thought, well, in some ways, like who I'm meant to become. All right, so you know, see it as a gift. Whoever as your attacker or the aggressor, or what the lessons you are learning, it doesn't matter how it's showing up. There will be something showing up in the next few weeks already, and you might have already experienced it, that something needs to happen to us so we can actually move with strength and transform it, so we can actually become who we need to become. All right, just quickly, underneath the bottom of the deck of the Rider-Waite, I'll just quickly show you these messages. Just go like that. All right, and I will write it out properly, but these are the kind of the scribbles I do. So we do, definitely. So I think you're moving away from like an emotional bankruptcy, if you like, and this is definitely an opportunity to start filling your you know, your mental or your emotional, well, these are coins as well. This is what gives it kind of like your tangible standing as well. You know, it's time to stop being the victim, okay, and actually start going inward and actually start cultivating on all the facets of yourself. Yeah, we've got a definite opportunity that's coming, which I think some of you will be catching or receiving, partly because it's now an opportunity for you to see how far and how bright you can actually shine. Okay, some of you will be also definitely looking at further options and furthering your options and moving forward and maybe leaving the past behind for sure. This is, you know, because I think you're done with carrying the burden of other people and also being in a fighting zone and also losing sleep over it. Okay, these situations, you're definitely moving forward. So, you know, these cards at the back are also very reflective of the energy, and it could be something that's come wildly out of nowhere. Okay, or you might decide to take radical steps yourself as well and decide enough already, right? I'm going to nurture myself. I've had enough, and I deserve to be nurtured and loved. But you know that actually starts with you. Okay, this is about you nurturing your cup. And look, there's an Ace of Cups, and this is a cup and a hand of, you know, radical and true self-love. Okay, when you start really getting towards that all the time, you'll find that there's no room for anybody else that doesn't honor that. Okay, the times of being kind of brutally used, manipulated or bullied or whatever, it's time to go. Okay, we're seeing that in the collective level, in the global level. We can see that in the States as well with Trump and all that, and the new elections coming. But it is going to not come, you know, in a peaceful manner. Okay, it just isn't. All right, so just be forewarned that the climate of things can be quite shaky. All right, but it is to herald new beginnings for sure, which is really lovely. Now, another card that I already pre-shuffled, or deck I was pre-shuffling, that decided to fall out prior to the recording was also this beautiful card by the Wisdom of Oracle deck, by Colette Baron Reid rather, and it's a Wisdom of Oracle, which is the card of peace. Okay, so despite that there's all these changes happening and needing to happen, it is up to us to keep a firm footing and make peace with ourselves. And in order to make peace with ourselves and accepting ourselves radically, we can accept another as well. So this is somehow like a radical acceptance card. Okay, being grounded, you know, laying yourself rooted as well. Okay, and taking stock and allowing whatever needs to be revealed in your own space. All right, and not going outward to meet it. So not you know, well, one of my guidance was actually, you know, to get help from people. It's the kind of help that you need to get is not those who collude with you, all right, but it is actually the help that people can actually help you see or help you clarify where you recognize what happened in this situation possibly, or what needs to change in you and what the situation mirrored back for you. Okay, it's a slightly different, this is what a coach does or a therapist does or a shaman does or a healer does. It's those kind of help I'm talking about. Now, if you're one of these people already quite advanced in your self-development or anything like that, you may be able to do so that yourself, okay? But sometimes just having that support will hugely make a difference, okay? I feel that this also could be offering the wand of peace, if you like. You know, there's a dove of peace there holding an olive branch or some kind of branch, but it looks like an orange branch, olive branch. Okay, but it is definitely time to let go. All right, let peace be something that you aim for. All right, because the only person you're really damaging at the end of the day is yourself and your peace. All right, you know, it's never the other person. We can be really aggravated by the other person, but recognize that when we're not feeling peaceful, it's because we're choosing not to feel peaceful in that moment, okay, or for the situation. All right, and it's natural to be really affected by an unexpected situation that could have just sort of come in out of nowhere, or somebody else's juvenile behavior. But it is still up to us to how we decide to be in it and how long we decide to be and what we do with it. Okay, it is time to hatch a new self, I feel, as well, and just let bygones be bygones and start actually really looking at how you can move forward and take flight into something that is far much more higher and conducive to a peaceful resolution as well, okay? Because in the end, the peace starts with us, okay, as well. Everything comes from within. Okay, I'm just going to look at the soul journey cards as well, just for the other side to balance out the reading. So this is also to serve everyone's soul growth. Okay, this card looked like they wanted to come. Okay, what it says here, it is really important. I think that maybe this is what's speaking to me about, is like, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with insight of awareness. I feel like in some ways, some people could be also really coming from a place of denial. They would be really denying their stuff and their shit. Okay, now it's really important that behind that denial often is fear. Okay, behind anger is fear and hurt. Okay, behind anger particularly is a lot of hurt. Right at the bottom of it, at the root cause of anger, somebody who's very frightened and also been hurt before and they've not dealt with it. So if you're acting and lashing out angrily, you want to actually look at that, because beneath that and layer upon layer is somebody denying the truth, but there's actually hurt or fear in that zone. Okay, and I kind of want to say, you know, it's really important that we get off our high horse and start looking at really what is underneath there, and to stop thinking that, you know, you're okay or whatever. If you are being triggered, there is something there. Okay, end of story. No, that's, you know, stop denying the truth. Okay, so it's really important. But just acknowledge just acknowledge the fear and replace it with insight of awareness. Now, to become aware, you do have to go and do some inner work. The color here also is very interesting to me because it's to do with relationships, it's to do with sacral chakra. All right, so this is how we bond with others. This is about how we communicate with others, but more importantly, how we relate to the one-to-ones. All right, so very much sacral chakra will be a really good chakra to work with. All right, so very important not to be in denial. I have here a worksheet as well, and if you sign up to my newsletter, there has all the kind of template of the chakra system, which is the psychic energy center of the body, and actually working with it consciously as well, and doing some rituals and powerful mantras. You can really help to shift the energy that is there, that is either stagnant, toxic, or belief systems that essentially really that are stuck within these energy systems that were placed since your formative years. Okay, I do offer this kind of work as well through my website. It's called Life Script Energy Series. By all means, read it. It's also often stemmed from anything externally that you're not happy with, is a mirror of a dysfunctional way of being through the chakras. And through working with the chakras, you can really shift your paradigm, inner paradigm, and your level of presence. Okay, so yeah, and so I just turned the deck at the bottom here, and this is also to do with self-esteem. All right, now do not be in the attacking force. If you've got enough self-esteem, whatever somebody does on the external also won't affect you, but be mindful that it is not the ego that is actually in the driving force of your esteem. Okay, it has to be from the heart. Okay, a strong heart ego, if you like, is far more powerful than the self, the kind of ego-based self-esteem. Okay, but it says here, possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Okay, I just kind of feel that also working with the solar plexus will also help, particularly for you to get focused and to get sort of empowered as well. Okay, make sure you're rooted through your root chakra. All the chakras really do play a major part. And currently, more than ever, if you're going to do any work, energy work, I really recommend that you do follow some chakra work. I will definitely be I have some very specific chakra meditations on my YouTube channel, and you can by all means have a look at that under the playlist of, I think it's called Healing with the Chakras or Meditation with the Chakras. There's only 13 of them, not many, but there's enough to get going with. But I will definitely lay down just one that you can just do like a tune up for, because it is something that everyone can be doing on a regular basis, particularly at this time, as we are going to be going through almost like through an eye of the needle. Okay, we're all being birthed into something, or through a storm. Okay, now depending on where you are at in yourself, it can feel like a storm when you're in the middle of a tornado. All right, so it's really important that you actually take care of you and nourish your own self. Okay, another card here. This is one final card, but let's just go. What sort of card would the surrender deck want to impart? Okay, oops, got two here. Let's see. Okay, So the first one I'm going to sort of share with you is surrender to what is. Okay, so this is actually really powerful, which is also to do a bit with the peace card. As we only get peace when we need to surrender to what is actually in front of us, okay, without getting hijacked with anything, okay, by anything. All right, again, a lot of people find it hard to do, but it's a practice, okay. But anyway, it says here, and this is the surrender card to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. So again, you know, just go with what's happening. Sort of, you know, I mean, that says it all, but, you know, in a situation that if you've sort of just fallen out with somebody or had a situation that's made you feel uncomfortable, just flow with it, okay? When you can't change a situation, so even despite that you maybe made your, you know, communicated and whatever, and somebody's completely in denial or coming from a sense of attack still, just be with it. You know, you can't change the situation. We can't change the COVID situation right now. We're not going to be able to change the rules and regulations that's going to coming in and being infringed upon us. We're not going to be able to change and all the stuff that could be happening externally, but how we can change is how we respond to the situation. And we only do that when we're really clear and aware of ourselves, okay? But when you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace, all right? So like I said, these two cards are very much cards that really mirror each other and are, you know, in partnership with each other, okay? And we do also arrive at peace when we let go of something and just radically accept it or accept it. It doesn't have to be radical acceptance, but it could be a situation that requires that. All right, and another card that fell out simultaneously, which I think is also beautiful and which we'll end with, is be open to miracles occurring in your life. So in the midst of the crazy, in the midst of maybe the waves or things that are happening, there are miracles. Perhaps it's asking us, maybe it's allowing us to move, take leaps forward. Okay, and sometimes that's what it's required. You know, we've got to go through some kind of storm or waves to get to the other place, which is actually a miracle in itself. We don't always know the full picture when something happens and why. Anyhow, be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. All right, so maybe this is a really beautiful one to hold on to, despite the fact that any chaos could be ensuing right now, any uncertainty that we could all be surrounded with, or any changes that keeps on reoccurring, or any feelings of stuckness, stagnation, or attack, or feeling, I don't know, just sort of affected by life, okay? Just hold on to the fact that there are miracles. Look for miracles every day, okay? It could be even just something as small as, but very significant as well, as, you know, noticing a rose as you're walking past and maybe sort of, you know, taking your nose to it and inhaling the fragrance of a rose, and that in itself is a miracle. It's a miracle that we have the scent and we have the capacity to smell things. It's a miracle that this rose just is, you know, open and flowering, and everything in life actually is a miracle. So we need to really go back to that to see its beauty and to just accept the daily miracles in our lives, for also for the bigger ones to come. So I'm going to leave you there with today's reading, or for the week. Okay, we do have the full moon coming in as well. So like I said, the energies could be very heightened. I really suggest that you really allow yourself to take some nourishment, take some stock. Okay, just really kind of be good to yourself. If you're feeling a bit sort of, you know, sort of uncertain, or feeling a bit, you know, sort of negative, or under some kind of mental attack, this could be your own mental attack as well. All right, you know, do take a breather, you know, take an inventory of what's true and what's not true. And often it's not, none of it's true, but you need to actually release the old story and just be open to miracles and bringing peace into your life. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. All the details are below in the description box. This is for the YouTube viewers. And yeah, I will catch you next week for another reading and the climate of the energies for the week. Lots of love. Thank you. And I will catch you then. Bye for now. Bye.